This is the first episode of this project that we're going to be doing on the topic of remote viewing. The plan is to go over individual sessions that I really enjoyed. All these sessions are uploaded at www.social-rv.com. It's a research-based social network for anybody who's interested in studying remote viewing, which is describing targets when you are separated from the target by space and time. You're given a target ID, and you collect sensory information by prompting the target once you have made connection with that target in a remote viewing environment. Different viewers access the remote viewing environment in different ways. It's a very personal experience. You have to practice a lot in order to develop your own ability to, first of all, make contact with the target, but then second of all, remain in contact with your target and develop a back and forth relationship of communicating a query for information and the return of that information. You get used to feeling how your subconscious wants you to ask questions, and you get used to understanding the difference between the way that remote viewing information as a response from your target, the way that information feels, compared to your own imagination, because your own imagination is always trying to fill in the blanks of what you're seeing. Remote viewing is not that different from memory, from classic memory, which is, let's say you want to remember your 10th birthday party. So you set your intention to remember your 10th birthday party. And now you're pulling sensory information from an event that is separate from you in space and time. That sensory information is stored in your brain, it's true. Your 10th birthday party was your experience. Your left brain can fill in the blanks as to what everything meant, because you were there. You have the information. Remote viewing isn't like that. Remote viewing gives you the same ability to pull sensory information from a specific target as classical memory does. But the difference is you haven't experienced it yet. You are communicating with your own consciousness outside of time. There is some version of your consciousness that has experienced this information. But it's not you, not yet. You're in the past. Your physical body, your physical brain is in the past. But your consciousness is not. Your consciousness exists outside of all of that. And so when you set your intention to view the information associated with a specific target ID, what you're doing is you are asking your consciousness at a different point in time to package those sensory impressions and make them available to you now. And you can do that. That's one way to think about remote viewing. That's the relationship that I have with remote viewing. Other people have many other theories as to how it works for them. I am of no mind that there is only one way that any of this functions. I think our consciousness is capable of connecting point A with point B in any number of ways, maybe an infinite number of ways. It tends to be a very creative force, consciousness. It's inventive, it's poetic, it's artistic. But anyways, I digress. I digress a lot. I apologize in advance. This is going to happen. But the point is, remote viewing is not that different from classical memory, but you don't have the information yet. You don't. And so if you can quiet down that left part of your brain that's always trying to be analytical and is always trying to fill in the blanks, quiet it down. Get rid of it. Just stare at the back of your eyelids for as long as you can. This is the reason why many remote viewers practice meditation routines. It's important to quiet your mind. Because if you don't, then you can't separate your imagination from the remote viewing data, because your imagination is loud and the remote viewing data is subtle. And your imagination wants to behave as though it knows what it's looking at, but you don't have the information yet because it's not a memory in the past. It's an experience you're going to have in the future. I hope that makes sense. That's the best I can do to describe it. Now, once you're in that remote viewing environment and you've quieted your mind, you set your intention to view the information, to see the picture associated with a specific target ID. You write down that target ID, and I practice a form of remote viewing that's called controlled remote viewing. I have like a hybrid that I do, but it's rooted in controlled remote viewing. After I write my target ID, I let my hand scribble wildly. Just scribble wildly. Because when you do that, you are allowing your subconscious to express itself. It's a subconscious expression that is a response to the piece of information you just asked for. You can't be thinking about it. You can't force it. It just needs to happen thoughtlessly. Just like the environment that you need to be in order to practice remote viewing is a clean mental environment, clear of thoughts. Meditate. Practice meditation. Get yourself quiet. Then see what you can do. So you've made contact with your target. You've written your wild flowing line after your target ID. You need to get in your body. You need to be feeling the feelings of your body. Because your body is what you are using to communicate. You get a lot of responses from feeling. And they generally will often correspond pretty closely with the target. I feel like that's probably the most useful place to start, and I usually start there. And then after I collect feelings, I will I'll start with very basic probing for colors, textures. What does the background feel like? What does the background look like? What does the foreground look like? What are the differences between the two? Those are all sorts of good questions to ask. If you're really, really, really digging into a target, you try and pull as much sensory information as you can. So you go through all the senses. Are there any smells? How is the air moving? Is it still? Am I inside? Am I outside? What does this area feel like compared to the size of my body? And then you can move if you want to. If I move, I tend to put a note on my page saying that I move above the target and look down. I'll actually say it to my subconscious. I'll say, move above the target and look down. And you can do that. But again, you're just recording the sensory impressions that come to you after you make that command. You make the command, you set your intention, and then you wait in the quiet. And the returns that you get from the subconscious, they show up in remote viewing data, and you just record those sensory impressions. And it works. It doesn't work all the time, but it shouldn't work ever. It should be impossible. That's the thing to remember with remote viewing. all of this should be impossible. And it works better than 50% of the time. Really? If you practice it, it starts to work a whole lot more. And when you get hits, the percentage of hits that you get that feel like direct hits, where you're like, no reasonable person could look at this and claim that it's a coincidence, they happen more and more. You can ask questions to reveal the nature of the target. You can ask, like, what is the most interesting aspect of the target? Whenever I write a question down on my paper, I'm saying it out loud also. Both of those two things are happening at the same time. I write the question down and I say it. What is the most interesting aspect of this target? And when that happens, you get responses that are in kind. Okay? For instance, if I ask, when I look at this target, what is the thing that I'm going to recognize the most? If I ask that, I might get a response that is a clear visual from something that I recognize, okay? It's pretty literal. And you want to keep that in mind whenever you are going back and forth with your subconscious. But at the same time, while it's literal, sometimes there's a sense of humor to it. Your subconscious, it really enjoys playing with words. Like, you will write down words on the page having had a specific visual that you were going to describe. And then you write down the words to describe it, and later on you look at your feedback and it's something completely different. But your words describe it perfectly. Like your subconscious just gives you a little wink. That happens more often than you would think. And I think it's beautiful. It's just this wonderful experience to just sit back and experience a mystery. To look a mystery right in the face, and then to know that the mystery is part you. You play a part in it. And it's individual. I heard one remote viewer say that remote viewing was like sitting with their own soul. I liked that so much. That feels pretty accurate. I think what we call the consciousness that expands into the everything, that's pretty close to a soul. It feels pretty correct to call that a soul. But anyways, I don't know what to think about all that, but that word does feel correct. Anyways, that's kind of how it works. I'm going to do a bunch of these. I'm going to describe these sessions, and I don't know, just pay attention. You can do this. All of you can do this.